The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, this is James from Cave Dweller Music. I'm here with my co-host Brendan, and today we are joined by Jason Roberts. You may know him from bands such as Breaths, CHNNLR, Roseneath, and Violescent. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course. So just for anyone who isn't familiar with you or any of those projects, do you want to just maybe tell people a little bit about what they are and what type of stuff you play?
Yeah, absolutely. So Breaths is a solo project. People have called it black gaze, doom gaze, post metal. I kind of just pull from everywhere. So if you like any of those genres, you might like it. I do everything in that except for drums are all programmed. So, but every vocals, guitar, bass, everything else is me. Roseneath is a sort of grungy post-hardcore shoegaze type project. It's me and my friend Brian, and he writes a good amount of the songs. I do vocals and some guitar, some bass, just depending. But he does like the bulk of the instrumentation. He's a drummer, so he programs the drums, but more of a like how he would play them kind of way, because we just don't have the capability at the moment to record live drums. That's a goal in the future. Channel are sort of a artsy, proggy, pop ambient thing. I don't know how to describe it. Started off kind of black gazy and then moved into a just sort of dark pop realm. Violescent is sort of a sludgy post-metal doom project. It's the only live band that I'm working on. We don't have anything recorded, but we're just writing songs. So hopefully I can get something tracked this year. Maybe play some shows around East Coast.
Awesome.
I think I covered them all, right?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see if any other ones are in formation right now.
No.
Just wanted to say, while we have you, thank you for contributing that track to Violence Against Violence. I know like grindcore's outside of your wheelhouse, so I think it's awesome that you made that for the sampler.
Yeah, that was super fun. I actually ended up fitting it on the new album. It kind of works in like a transition spot, so it was a lot of fun to experiment. It kind of made me want to do a grindcore album, but we'll see.
That's awesome.
Not committing to anything, but it was fun.
Yeah, just for fun.
A couple of people who weren't grind based actually just said, "I'm just going to make a grindcore track because I've always wanted to and contribute," which I think is awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like your samplers. Kind of, I want to take them kind of as a challenge going forward. When you throw out these different genres, I don't know. It's always good to move outside of my wheelhouse.
Well, we have obviously the new Mind Over Metal one coming, which you've contributed to, I think, the last 2 years. And then, so we'd love to have a track for that one again. But also, if you want a challenge, we do have one coming out later this year that's exclusively Dungeon Synth. So that's a fun one to take a crack at.
I just got my hands on a Korg mini log, so there we go.
Oh, there you go.
The future be told.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've talked about that one on air yet, but that one, all of the proceeds for that one are going to National Center for Transgender Equality.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely try my hand at some Dungeon Synth. I'm not as familiar with that genre as I was with grindcore.
Okay. If you want any recommendations, one of our writers puts together seasonal recommendation lists of like albums that are essential listening for Dungeon Synth, so I can drop those over to you.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. It's a bunch of music that I never really explored, and then started listening to it since Aaron came on. I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's give it a try.
It's very like relaxing. Like it's like almost like therapeutic because you can totally just immerse yourself in it and not like have to pay full attention. Like just it's like ambient.
My kids are 4 and 7, and there are some of those albums I put on. They're like, "This is scary. You need to turn it off right now." And I'm like, okay, but the Primitive Man that I was listening to 10 minutes ago didn't scare you. I don't get it. Well, whatever.
You mean the dungeons
My
didn't scare them, and the primitive man
Yeah.
didn't?
Hmm.
Too spooky.
It's spooky. I think it's what it is. Yeah.
when my
Spooky
daughter
synth.
was little, she used to say her favorite music was death metal. And she actually, I don't know if you've heard it, but at the end of one of my songs on Lined in Silver called Like Wires, she does
Yeah.
like a scream at the end that I put into like a jazz drum and bass beat. Um, and
I
then my
didn't realize
son's
that
on the new
was.
album.
That's awesome.
I listened
Yeah,
to that whole album this morning.
she's actually on the new album too, but the very last track she has like a background scream where she was I tend to take the most random clips of my kids and put them in my stuff. So she's screaming, I want Frozen because she wanted to listen to the Frozen soundtrack, but it just sounded so like mean. I kind of buried it, like made it all like black metal sounding in the background. It's fun.
That's awesome.
I love it. That's awesome, man.
Like little Easter eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's sick. I'm gonna listen to it
yeah,
again now and try.
yeah.
That's
She's
fun.
at the very end of Like Wires when you'll hear the screaming. I think she says, "Yes, Daddy, eat it." She wanted me to eat some mango or something. It was like years ago. She's she's 5 now, but I think she was like 2 then or something. She was yelling for me to try her food.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's actually one of my favorite tracks too on that album, if I remember correctly.
I call that my Deftones track. I guess every track is
Yeah,
my Deftones track.
I was gonna say, definitely a lot of Deftone influences. I feel like with a lot of the clean vocal styles, like it reminds me of that a lot. It's good.
I, I've been listening to Deftones Adrenaline when I was 15. I think it came
Yeah,
out when I was 15. That out or no, I was probably like 13 when it came out. That album was like what made me fall in love with heavy music. I had listened to heavy music and I was into everything from Typo Negative and White Zombie and Korn and Sepultura, but
yep, yep,
Adrenaline, like the clean, like fragile vocals with the harsh screams, like something just clicked in me. I was like, I want to do this. I love this.
yeah.
So I can't escape being like Chino. Sorry. It's just
It's okay.
I
It's good. Like I love. I was on one of your albums, the last, the Empty.
yeah, I think I was listening. It's funny that song was actually one of the first songs I wrote for that album, and I was listening to. Are you familiar with the band called Ingrina? They're like a
Mm,
post metal band from I don't know where they're from, Finland or Germany. I don't want to get it wrong, but
No, no, don't know
somewhere.
them.
They just have a lot of sparse, like really thick drumming and bass with instead of the guitar laying down the rhythm, the guitar is doing like just crazy ambient, kind of like glassing. Do you listen to them at all?
yes.
I like how they use the guitar not as much for rhythm, so that was kind of my experiment in letting drum and bass kind of just take the forefront and the guitar just be there for texture. I don't know, just fun
Yeah.
tidbit.
Oh, it's good. It's yeah, man. It's definitely good. But then it also has like that. Yeah, the tone is really good, and then the vocals too. It just reminded me. I was just like, wait, did we get a Deftones track here? Or is this wait what? This is awesome. Like, it's an amazing style of like clean singing, and I like it.
Thanks. I do my best. I'm glad.
Have you
I never thought.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say, have you ever seen that movie? It was like I think the music was written by Jonathan Davis of Korn, Queen of the Damned.
Yeah, I used to love that movie when I was younger.
Me too. But did you ever listen to the soundtrack where they had different artists cover the songs from the movie?
Yes, I don't remember it too well, but I definitely had the CD at the time and loved the soundtrack
Yeah, I was
back
just gonna
when.
say, do you remember the Deftones one?
Do you remember the track title? Do you remember what it was called?
Let
I'm
me
gonna
check
look.
for you because it was I loved that song. Um, let's see, because I
Another
just felt like his vocals suited it.
while you're looking for that, there's a Deftones track that was from early on the Crow City of Angels soundtrack called Teasing. And that's always
Hmm.
been one of my favorite Deftones tracks. It's like I don't know, super just out of the gate heavy for Deftones.
I love that soundtrack too. I think that's probably one of like my favorite soundtracks of all time. Like when like soundtracks were like really popular and a thing kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
That one was like it's spot on. It was like it had I don't know, it ranged, you know, it had a little bit of everything from all the genres. It was just great.
Yeah, I love that
Change
one.
in the House of Flies is the name of the track.
Oh yeah. It's a good tune.
Was it the Change in the House of Flies? Or was it like the hit single from White Pony Change? Or was it, I
It
wonder if it
just
was a
says
different version.
Change in brackets in the House of Flies is the name of the title.
Yeah, that was like their biggest hit off White Pony. I'm just wondering if it's a different version. I'm gonna go back and revisit.
I think it was a different version.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and revisit that soundtrack.
What about Crosses? Are you a fan of that project?
Yeah, I love Crosses. That's kind of like what Channeler is kind of that. I just do whatever Chino does, basically.
I can see
No,
that. There are similarities there. I love Crosses personally.
yeah, Chandler's got that sort of like we were going for that Sleep Token sort of Crosses feel with
Well,
like a little guitar mixed in with electronic.
Sleep Token's another band that's sort of like Dave. His vocals are really impressive.
Yeah, I really dig it. I loved their first album.
Me too.
I like the second and the new one coming out, but something about that first one really just did it for me when it came out.
The first one
I
I
was
think
listening.
had a little more atmosphere. Like it was a little more immersive.
Around the
Yeah.
Fur, is that one? What am I thinking about?
We're talking about Sleep Token, the
Yeah,
Sundowning.
Do you know the
Around
Brendan?
the Fur is a good one.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Around the Fur is probably my favorite Deftones album.
Yeah, it's a great one. I was like
Yeah.
in sixth, seventh grade, I think, when it came out, and I was just like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, I think I was in high school at that point, maybe a sophomore. But yeah, I remember going and like as soon as I got out of school, begging my mom to take me to Best Buy CD store here and
Yeah.
buy that album.
For me,
I
it's
was waiting
like
for it.
between Around the Fur and White Pony. I like a lot of things about
Yeah.
both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. I mean, honestly, they haven't put out anything that I don't like. People hate on the newest stuff, but I still like it a lot.
Right. I think that it's Deftones has been a band for forever, and
Yeah.
they have, people always want them to be like One Direction, like super heavy or this and that, but then it's like they're just not gonna do that, and they're gonna mix it up, and they're good at it.
Are you a fan at all of Giles Corey?
Is that the Have a Nice Life side project?
Exactly.
Yep. I like both of those projects a lot.
Yeah, me
I
too.
don't know that I like one more than the other, but yeah, I'm into that stuff for
They're
sure.
really different. The Giles Corey stuff's a little more a little less focused, I should say. Like it's a little more experimental, like it kind of does a few different things. And
Yeah.
I guess it's a little more like I can't say it's more depressive because Have a Nice Life is pretty depressive, but yeah, they're both great. I mean, although I guess the Giles Corey stuff's a little more on the nose because he has that one song called "I'm Gonna Do It," which is literally the chorus is "I'm gonna kill myself" over and over again. So,
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I need to. It's been a while since I listened to that. I probably listened to Have a Nice Life more recently, but I have to be in the right mood for those.
oh yeah,
those albums.
definitely. Yep, they're pretty heavy hitting.
I think another one in that not really similar genre, but I kind of like the whole slowcore sort of doom gaze thing. I like Planning for Burial a lot, and then I've been listening to Drowse a lot too.
I've heard
And
good
then
things, but I haven't checked them out yet. Actually, are they worth listening to?
It's good. It's just it's pretty like lo-fi slowcore and not the same by any means as any of the other projects we mentioned, but
Okay.
in a similar vein. It's very just kind of lo-fi slowcore. I don't know how else to pigeonhole it, but it's good. And then I think Funerals with the V is another one I've been into a lot lately with their new
Oh,
album.
yeah, I've heard them. They're great.
Yeah, it's
We
like a
we covered their
slow-
album on the site actually, just pretty recently. They're a great band.
Yeah, I think I read that review.
So, I just wanted to ask, you mentioned you have some stuff coming. What's in the works for your projects? I know Breaths has something later this year.
Yeah, Breath's new album is almost done. I'm one song away from finishing it. Just got to do vocals, which I'll probably try to do this weekend. So I don't have any kind of release date. There's a couple singles out right now. Um, The Summit and Winds of Change are both singles off that album. But I would say if I had to guess, sometime around September might be a good guess. And then Roseneath has a full-length album coming out in June. I think the cassette and CD will be on Trepanation again, Trepanation Recordings, and then there's going to be a vinyl release by a label out of Germany called 30 Something Records. They do a lot of like emo and post-hardcore stuff.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's exciting. Vinyl release has always been on my bucket list, and finally getting it. I just got to find one for Breath now.
Awesome.
We'll see.
I think Breast would
Cool.
translate really well to vinyl. I think it would definitely do it justice with like the richness of tone.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's harder though with this new one because it's like over an hour, so it's guaranteed
Yeah.
double LP.
Yeah.
For someone to pick that up is even more financial.
Right, of course.
Yeah,
I think there's
we'll see.
the lead time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Strange.
gonna say, how's that going nowadays? Is it eased up a little bit, or is it still a shit show?
I haven't shopped it myself lately, but the Roseneath album that we're getting pressed, the label just submitted it like last month to the plant, and they're only 4 months out. So
Oh wow,
we're gonna
much
have
better.
it. Yeah, we should have it released, or we're gonna release it June 16th, and the vinyl should be in hand before then. So yeah.
Yeah, at one
I don't
point
know if that's just.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't know if that's one particular plant that's just caught up, or if that's across the board. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I remember like last year at some point, when I checked and we talked to some people, it was about 11 to 12 month wait still.
Yeah, I remember that too. It's been crazy for a while.
Brutal. You couldn't release an album without a year's planning.
Yeah, which I am pretty impatient. So that's why, like with Breaths, I'm like, if I start shopping it now, it won't even be out this year. If it's so I don't know if I can. I might have to release it, and if a label really likes it, they can release the vinyl after it's out.
That's what people have been doing, because it's like, do I wait a whole year to release my album I've already finished, or do I kind of just release it on like CD, cassette, and digital, and then later do another release for the vinyl, which I think makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm banking on, but I would probably be. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say some labels aren't even doing vinyl anymore just because of the weight. They're just like, no, we're not even gonna bother. But they did other stuff instead, you know?
Yeah.
Double down on merch and things like that.
Cassette's been the big one. A lot of people have gone to cassette recently, which is interesting. It's a weird comeback I didn't predict.
Yeah, I actually just bought a little boom box so I could listen to it, because I have cassette copies of all my Breaths and Roseneath stuff, and I wanted to listen to it on that format, but I tried this one little Walkman, but it just sounded like not good. So I bought a little boom box with the CD player and cassette player, and we'll see. I haven't gotten it yet, but hopefully it sounds. I don't know. I don't know what I expect, but
I was wondering about that, because I was thinking like it's hard to get stuff that plays cassette even these days. Like, do you think there's going to be like a resurgence in manufacturing of cassette players because there's a rising cassette sales again? Or
well, there's some new brands coming out, but they're just, the one I bought was not. It just wasn't good. It was like in mono, and it just sounded awful compared to. Maybe I'm just so spoiled with not listening to cassettes for 30 years or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe this boombox will sound better.
I haven't listened to tapes in forever, and I have one that's unlabeled and blank. I don't know what it is. And I have Kid and Play from. That's all I have for tapes. So I'm like, I used to have a whole bunch, but I don't know. I went to CDs and vinyls and just never went back to cassettes.
I need to get a cassette player. Sorry. Just because I need to get a cassette player because I have a whole stack of cassettes that like bands and artists have sent me to say thank you for reviewing the albums. Like I can't listen to them, and I want to.
Yeah. I just have my my band stuff, and then this band Wounds of Recollection is a solo project I did like a split with, and I was on one of his songs, and he sent me the CD and cassette of his new album, and I want to listen to that too. And then I have this demo that my first band ever when I was like 16 back in uh, age myself, but like 98, 99. I have a cassette that we did on like an 8-track Tascam for we were shopping to labels and they wanted more demos back then. And so we just recorded these songs in our practice room, like 8 songs on this tape that aren't available anywhere else. And I want to hear them for the first time in 25 years or something.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got to get a cassette player so you can start collecting rare black metal cassettes. That's how
Yeah,
you
right. Yeah, that's
acquire power.
That's right. Then I can, yeah, those, there's someone I follow on Instagram, the Black Metal Rainbows account, and they did a lot of proceeds of go to like help trans communities and different like LGBTQ communities and things, and just the amount of ridiculous, just gatekeeping black metal comments, just homophobic comments on that page. I mean, I'd seen it before, but not to the volume on this page. It was insane. Just like get out of my music scene and just slurs everywhere. Just disgusting.
Yep. Well, do you remember? I'm trying to think of the artist's name. He did that black metal album, the Rainbow album cover. Do you know the one I'm talking about? It was like a really big album 2 years ago.
Violet Cold.
That's the one. Do you remember how upset that made some of those like nerds online?
Yeah. And then did you see recently how he's kind of gone off the rails? Speaking of Violet Cold,
yeah, I remember that. He did.
Yeah, and then like he was saying like he did some weird joke about NSBM is the best genre ever, and like just going in this strange like fascist direction, and then he's like, haha, just kidding.
Oh,
it was really weird. I don't understand. I feel like he was having some sort of manic episode. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I have no idea, but I just kind of stopped paying attention because the joke or not, it wasn't
weird joke. Yeah.
Right.
It's one of those things that like you don't want to have associated with your name, even if it's a joke, because it's like, not everyone's going to catch the part where you said I was joking, even if it was a joke, you know what I mean? And it's always going to have this
and then it's like
stigma.
Even if you were like, why would you think it's funny? I don't know. It's just some stuff is funny, and then some stuff is just like, dude, come on, man.
That's why I think that he maybe has some mental health issues that he's not addressing, because it feels like
bipolar, maybe
just patterns of his posts. Yeah, it feels like some patterns of his posts. He kind of definitely has those manic, and then sort of like comes back to reality tendencies. But I don't know. Hopefully, the dude's getting help if that's the truth.
I thought immediately when you said that, I thought of Kanye West and like the stuff that he's going through right now with his bipolar episodes.
Yeah, it was definitely like that in a smaller scale because, Kanye West is one of the biggest artists ever at this point. So.
Right. And he went like very, very vocal about some very questionable things.
Yeah. No, I very, very aware. I might be in the minority here, but I was never a Kanye West fan musically anyway. So when he did that, it's not like I was like, oh no, I have to throw away all my Kanye West albums that I don't have.
Right.
But definitely, he went way off the rails, and I don't know if he'll ever come back from any of that. I think is he still off the rails?
I think so. So basically, from what I understand, is that he stopped taking his meds a while back, and he's having issues before the divorce type thing, like impulse buying a house in like another state and telling the whole family they're moving there overnight type thing, stuff like that. And then the divorce happened, and it kind of sent him off the rails, and then he got the paranoia, and so honestly, like the whole thing, I feel like it's more sad than anything. Like I feel like we're kind of just watching a man slowly self-destruct his life and career on like on an international platform, and no one's really helping him. And I feel like he kind of needs someone to help him. It's
Right.
like a mental health crisis, and it's like the whole world's just watching it happen.
And it's like, wow, this man is losing his mind. Yep. He is.
Yeah.
How
I mean, hopefully he does get that help. I mean, he'll probably never get his career back, but
No, it's done. Damage is
at
done.
least as a person, as an individual, hopefully he gets right for his kids, if nothing else, and for himself.
Exactly.
right.
Before he destroys all his personal relationships in his life that he's built over the years.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely sad.
anyway, before we go too far down that rabbit hole, Brendan, I know you have some fun questions that you like to ask. Do you want to fire off a couple of those?
Sure. Well, playing live music, you were talking about getting a new band possibly together for live shows and such. Um, do you have like a favorite venue in your area to play?
I have actually, so I moved to Richmond like 6 years ago. I'm from Austin, Texas primarily, and then I've lived in a few other places like Seattle. But back when I was younger, I actually played and toured around the country, but I never played Richmond. And I have still only played Richmond once because I had a band when I first moved here. We played one show, we broke up. So I can only say that that was a cool place to play. It's called Wonderland. It's like a weird, grungy metal bar.
All
But
right.
there are other venues around that I'd like to play. Like I like the Broadberry a lot. There's a weird pole in the middle of the stage, but other than that, I like the sound there a lot. And then the National is like a larger venue I've seen shows at, but goal would be to play those venues at some point.
Hell yeah.
We'll see.
So you, I was gonna say I was follow up with your favorite kind of places to go see shows. Like, would that kind of describe what you just hit?
Yeah, and then like the Camel's another one here.
Yeah.
That's like a smaller venue, kind of more intimate. Um, and then I've heard some good things about there's a patio stage at this place called Cobra Cabana, I think. And I haven't seen a show there, but I've wanted to check out. It's more like local shows. So yeah, I
Nice.
think that covers most of the places I've been to here.
Nice. What's your favorite city to play?
Um, we used to do a lot of more like southern regional touring. Didn't do like full national for most of my career because it was more, like a week here, a few days there, a week here. It wasn't month
Yeah.
long tours. I don't know that I had a favorite spot. I really liked just playing in Austin, like my hometown. Um, Back then, most of the venues I played don't even exist anymore. Only a few.
Yeah.
I would love to play in Seattle. I never got up there, but I lived there and saw a bunch of shows there. But I would love to go back there and actually play a show someday. There's some cool venues just up and down the West Coast that I'd love to play at.
Hell yeah.
If you come
Nice.
to San Diego, let me know. I will be there.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
I love San Diego, so I would definitely love to come out there. I'd love to start in San Diego and just work my way all the way up to like Vancouver, and then, but who knows? I'm
You have
old.
you have your pick of venues in San Diego too. There's so many small venues here to play at, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't been there in a while. It's been a decade at this point, but yeah, I need to get back that way.
There's actually this one called Till Two Bar that has the smallest stage I've ever seen in my life. And when I got there, I was like, oh man, how is like this going to be? This stage is so tiny. And then by the end of the show, I was like, that is like one of the coolest venues I've ever been to. It's like the most intimate show ever because the stage is like only about probably like a foot or less than a foot from the floor height. So the band's like just about at eye level with you, and it's like a straight room. So if you're in the front row, like you're making eye contact with the whole band while they play, it's yeah, I actually really like it. That's a cool one.
I have a story like that about a venue very similar that used to exist in Austin. This was probably in 97, 98. I think it was called Bates Motel, and it had like a plywood stage that was, yeah, maybe not even a foot. It might have been like 6 inches off the ground. And I saw like, I think it was Hatebreed came through, like mid 90s Hatebreed. Satisfaction is the Death of Desire album was out. And
Yeah.
it was like local death metal bands. And I mean, there wasn't a big hardcore scene in Austin, but there was big enough that with the stage like that, it got pretty insane. And I was like I don't know, 15, 16 at the time. It was like one of my
That's awesome.
first shows. That was point is that's a really cool experience when it's like an intimate sort of small stage like that. So I get it.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
that that album is like if they were playing songs off of it, I'm sure they were. It was like every song you could pretty much like sing along to, so I'm sure it got pretty wild up in there.
I mean, they only had the like, what was it, Under the Knife or whatever their first
Yeah,
demo
seven
or
inch.
EP was.
Yeah,
Yeah, they only had that and then Satisfaction. So I think they played all of Satisfaction and then maybe a few of the other songs that they had from the past. But yeah, it was pretty wild. Kids were singing. I think I saw Earth Crisis around the same time and like Snapcase back when those bands were, the Victory bands were
all
touring in the 90s.
Snapcase. Yeah,
Man,
that's when I was
that
all
was
in.
so cool.
That was all like those bands and all that where I was knee deep in following them around, and if I could catch them live, I would. And, I'm actually
Yeah.
end of the month. I'm gonna go see One King Down and Earth Crisis play in Boston.
Oh, that's awesome. I never got to see One King Down, but that would be super cool.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I think that would be fucking. It's gonna be an awesome show.
I
Awesome show.
saw I saw Earth Crisis a handful. I saw them like 5 or 6 times. They came through Austin all the time back then, like late '90s, early 2000s. They were there like a few times a year for a while.
Yeah, I love it. It's fun stuff, man. Then there's a Sick of It All's playing, I think, like the same night in another venue. And I was like, oh my God, this is
Oh yeah.
insane. We gotta like all these hardcore bands are coming around. I just saw All Out War last month.
Oh well.
That was
Haven't
like
heard
it
that
was
name in
so
a while.
cool. Yeah, it was fun, man. And then there's a band Edict that played that night too. And yeah, man, there's had some neat shit, dude. Some old school stuff. It's coming around.
That's awesome. Do you live in Boston?
I'm outside of Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay. I lived in Connecticut for a little bit. I was in Middletown and East Haven for a little bit.
Oh no shit. Yeah, yeah. All right. So I'm probably like 20 minutes, half an hour from there to drive.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
I was
like
only out
closer
there for like a
to
year.
yeah, like the airport, like that side.
Oh yeah, yeah. What is that? Was that Bradley? What was that place
Bradley,
called?
yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the Boston one was Logan.
Yeah, I never
Right.
flew out of Logan, but I remember picking my mom up from the Bradley airport at one point when I lived out there.
Yeah, yeah. So I live like 20 minutes from there.
Oh, cool. I need to get back to Connecticut too. I need to go down to New Haven, get some pizza. I miss the Connecticut
Yeah.
pizza.
This is so good.
And
I,
no one who is like not been to Connecticut understands when I say Connecticut pizza is the best pizza ever. You don't get
it,
it. They're like, nah.
it is. It's funny. It's like people argue about it sometimes, and like, or you'll see like, New York had pizza first, or this and that. And it's like, no, New York stole it from New Haven, and they started doing it
Yeah.
over there. And
I've
I
had
don't know.
I've had
So the
tons of
story
good New York
goes.
pizza, but it doesn't match the New Haven pizza. I'm sorry. Go to like Pepe's
Yeah,
or Sally's or whatever. That's yeah, modern, all those places.
A Pizza, Sally's, all that. Yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
whole bunch of, and like people love and hate all of them and this and that, but then like they're all so good and they all have their own strengths too. Like I don't know, I love it. Like I love like Pepe's. There's a Pepe's near me, so I always go to that. It's like easier. And then there's not a well-known one so popular, but there's a local place, Woodbridge Pizza, that's near me, and they do an awesome job. I usually go to them first if Pepe's is like major crazy long wait or whatever. They'll be like, I'll be there in like 2 hours. Like, all right, nah, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. There was one in East Haven that I really liked. I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a smaller like East Haven spot. I don't think I had bad pizza no matter where I
yeah,
went in Connecticut. It's like if you have bad pizza, they shut you down.
right.
Execute you.
You, yeah,
People
you're a
take
disgrace.
pizzas here, serious, super
Yeah,
serious.
yeah. I need to get back there. I had an interesting experience living in Connecticut, so I totally different part of my life was with an ex-wife, and she didn't like living there, so it was not fun for me because I heard about it all the time, so I couldn't enjoy myself, and I'd like to get back there with my family now and
Yeah.
actually show them good times. But anyway,
Yeah. I
one
mean,
day.
it's like the winter is odd here. The last, I don't know, I've been here since the last 10, 12 years, I feel like. And sometimes the winter's like really crazy. And then other times, like, I feel like the last 5 years, it's been like just cold with like a little bit of snow here and there, nothing crazy. And then this whole year, nothing, no snow. And then the last 2 weeks, we've gotten snow. And then it's been so warm, it melts away like within 2 days. And then it like comes like, I don't know, it's super odd.
I was there in 2011
All right.
whenever the snow hit in October and it knocked out power for like everyone in Mass and
Yeah.
Connecticut.
I
So I
call
was without power.
Arborgeddon,
Yeah,
because
I was
all the trees got knocked down because they froze too early or whatever, and then they got everything. Yeah.
So that week without power basically was like the straw that said, "All right, we're gonna leave." Yeah.
I mean, that was a pretty big thing. It was like the entire state. It wasn't like isolated, It was,
Yeah.
yeah. That sucked. That we were lucky because I had a condo and I was living in New Britain at the time, and we had buried power lines, so there was no power lines anywhere, So we had power, so we actually had people coming to our house to hang out and do stuff and whatnot. We were lucky,
cool.
but yeah, there was no power lines around us to get knocked down, so it was just that was the only thing that like hooked us up.
We had the apartment I was in had a like gas fireplace, so I remember my dogs and cat we all like huddled and then slept in the living room with the fireplace.
Yep.
To keep warm. Yeah, it was an interesting time. I wasn't used to that because I grew up in Texas, so I was like, it gets cold-ish sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Texas will thin the blood, that's for sure.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, there's some good pizzas though. There's I don't know, they're still kicking around. A lot of neat spots in West Hartford too popped up in that area.
I liked
I've
West
got
Hartford.
a non-food related question for you.
Sure.
What are some local bands in your area that people should be paying attention to who they may not have heard of?
I don't know a lot of smaller local bands, to be honest. Only being in Richmond, I mean, the bands I do listen to from Richmond are like Wind Hand, which is not a small band, and Inter Arma, which is also not a small band.
Great band though. Love Inter Arma.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And then I think Gift from God is from here, and Bad Omens is from here too.
Okay.
Which I didn't have any idea. They're like a poppy metalcore, but I like it. So their latest album was cool. I don't really listen to a lot of local bands though, because I honestly don't get out to venues and shows much. I have smaller kids and they're demanding, and I don't leave the house that much.
That's fair enough.
I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and my 3-year-old son just insists that I sleep with him every time he wakes up, and so I basically sleep in his room, in his bed with him like every night, all night. So it's hard to get out for long periods.
Did you have any more that you want to fire off there?
I was gonna ask for food. I was gonna ask you about Pomar apples and wine sap apples. Do they make a good pie? Do you know?
I have no clue.
They're apples that are famous in that area.
I'm not a big apple pie fan. I like apples, but I had a bad experience when I was a kid of eating too much apple pie and puking it up for hours. And ever since then, I've been kind of love-hate apple pie. Yeah, I like it. I don't know. I got to be in the right headspace.
I hear you there.
Sucks when those experiences ruin like a whole food for you, because I used to absolutely love like shrimp burritos and shrimp tacos, and then I got like food poisoning from one a little while back, and now I'm finally coming back around to them. But for a while there, I had to like I just couldn't do it. Every time I like try to eat one, I just feel that feeling in my stomach from the food poisoning. And I was like,
Yeah.
God damn it, because it's so good. It was such a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I still do now. I eat sushi and whatnot, but not at one point. I went to this place with my wife who had I got this tuna like entree thing. So it had like all the different ways you could eat tuna, and one of them was like this, like just like a chunk of it, you know. So you just eat a cube of tuna, and when I put it in my mouth, it just like I couldn't I couldn't help it, and I just like immediately almost like threw up on the table on all over way. I couldn't even help. I don't know. I ate like half of the other stuff, you know, but then this like one chunk I put in my mouth, and I couldn't handle it, and just like had a mental breakdown, and like couldn't eat tuna for like a year, 2 years.
So when I was 19, I was at a Thanksgiving dinner with a girlfriend of mine at the time, and her dad had me try pickled watermelon rind,
Oh,
and
I love that.
same thing. As soon as it hit my mouth, I almost threw up at the Thanksgiving table, and ever since then, I cannot eat anything pickled, and that was 20 plus years ago. I
Oh,
can't eat pickles. I can't eat. I'll eat pickled jalapenos because, like the jarred jalapenos, because to me they don't taste pickled. They just taste like
Mhm.
jalapeno. But
yeah, it's
anything
just
else pickled,
spicy. Yeah.
I just gag. As soon as a
Oh wow.
pickled, yeah, I can't do it. If I smell it, I gag. I can't. Ugh,
Oh
That's a
can't do it.
bummer.
yeah, I love. Oh man, pickled watermelon's great.
Never had it.
I don't know what it was. It's literally whatever I had was the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life, and I can't. I don't know if it was. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even remember the taste. I just remember the reaction.
Yeah.
Brendan, I
Uh,
just noticed we're coming up on time. Do you have any more there?
um, for music, I say, what was your favorite song to play live?
I have not gotten the chance to play any of these songs live from any of my
Oh,
projects. But I don't really have a favorite. I don't remember one back in the day. I played with a lot of bands in my teens and 20s, or not a lot, but I played in bands in my teens and 20s. But yeah, I don't remember. I think my old band Conductor here in Richmond, like my only Richmond band before I started CHNNLR Breaths, I really like to play a song called Go to the Mast at Dawn. It was a play on the fact that the song sounded like Mastodon, so we called it Go to the Mast at Dawn.
Nice.
Cheeky reference. That song was fun to play, but I haven't gotten the chance. I did play the Elders from Breasts. I played that in a band that we were practicing to be a live band, but it
hmm.
actually spun into Roseneath, and
Mhm.
then me and another guy took it to a studio project only. We didn't really have a lot of time to play in the live band, so but I got to play that in the practice room live a few times. That was fun.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Someday I'll take Breasts live. Someday.
Is that it
Right
for you,
on.
Brendan?
I'm good, bud.
Cool. I just got a couple last few for you there. I just
Sure.
wanted to ask, like, how did you end up working with Dan from Treprec? How did who contacted who, and how did you find each other?
I think after I finished Line and Silver, I just sent it out to everyone I could find, and I found Trepanation on Instagram and liked the stuff that he was putting out. So I think I just DM'd him on there, if I remember correctly, and he just listened to the record. And I was impatient and already had it ready for a digital release, so he did the CD and tape like a couple months after it
Oh,
came out.
nice.
But yeah, I think that's just I reached out to him and he got back to me, and it's kind of worked ever since. I think he's put out everything I've done since then with Roseneath and Breath, except for my ambient album, which maybe we'll figure that out someday.
What's the ambient album?
Breath's Isolera.
I
It's an all instrumental ambient kind of
Mm.
drony album.
The
may have.
movement 1, 2, 3, and 4, right?
Yep. And actually on the new Breaths album, I kind of reworked Movement 4 a little
Okay.
bit as an intro. So it's kind of like a transition straight from Movement 4 into the new Breaths album. It's like
Oh, cool.
if you play them back to back, it's kind of a smooth, seamless transition.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. I actually missed that album. I didn't realize you put that one out somehow. Oh, that actually made me realize I want to ask you about this. How did the partnership between you and Dimwin come about? Was that sort of through Dan, through the label? Because I know they're both trap rec artists, but
I connected Dimwin with Trepanation in the
oh,
first place.
okay,
And I found Dimwin. I think it was just another. I think pretty much all my collaborations and things have been through Instagram. So I
cool.
think we were just kind of coming up at the same time. And
Okay.
the rock and roll vegan, and I forget her last name. I'm terrible. Um, she puts out a lot of stuff, like reviews and just uh, blogs and stuff. And she had reviewed my first album, Line and Silver, and Dimwin's first album, and I listened to it and just reached out to them through her or through finding them on her site and just started chatting with them. And then when they wanted to shop around, I sent it over to Trepanation, and then we kind of just talked about a split and ideas behind it. It's been a while, so I don't remember all the details, but that's kind of how my other split came together too. I just talked to Wounds of Recollection and Daygraves online, and just I think I introduced Wounds to Trepanation as well because Dan put out the latest Wounds of Recollection album.
That's awesome.
So
We're actually premiering their upcoming single, Dimwind, on the 17th.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, they're a great band, really cool band.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they want anyone to say it. You can edit it out, but I've heard the whole album and it's great, really great.
I'm sure they'll be okay with
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was. We kind of. I've shared all my stuff with them, and they felt like sharing it with me. And if you guys listen to this, no one else has heard it from me, but it's amazing, and I think people are really gonna love it.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited. Yeah, that single, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, the whole album flows really well. I'm stoked for those guys.
Brilliant. So my last question is kind of it's an on the spot one. So you can take your
Sure.
time if you need to answer it. If you were trapped on a desert island with a solar powered Discman and 3 CDs, what would they be?
The first one would be Dredge LCLO. It's
Okay.
probably my favorite album of all time.
Okay.
Um, the second one I'd probably have to go with Around the Fur,
Okay.
just because I feel like if I didn't have that one for the rest of my life, I would miss it.
Yeah.
The third one, ooh, that one's tougher. Third album that I couldn't live without. I'm gonna peruse my vinyl for a second and tell you.
Yeah, go ahead. Brendan, I was playing this game with my wife in the car driving up to LA,
Yeah.
and I branched off to a bunch of other areas with it. So I kept doing like lists of three. It was like 3 movies, 3 TV shows, 3 books, and it's like 3 people. And then I got to this one. I was like, and this would be like a tough one. If you had to, this is a desert island way, but this is like one of those like pick one of the 3 thing. If you had to
Yeah.
choose to only have one of these 3 things exist in society, would you choose modern medicine, electricity, or plumbing?
Ooh.
You can only have one.
Yeah,
Fuck.
it's a toughie.
I think
I would say modern medicine.
I don't know. I'd say plumbing or medicine. Like those are like
The
because
thing is,
without I mean, like
I would say medicine as well, but the only thing is like without the electricity, you'd lose a fair portion of like of its
Yeah,
capability. But I think
surgeries and things like that.
yeah,
right,
but
right.
you would at least have like vaccines, which I think is probably like smallpox is pretty bad. It's like
But without potable water, you're just
yeah,
gonna end up with
it's a
yeah,
tough one.
man.
Yeah,
Did you figure out the third one?
I did. I think it would be Cave In and Jupiter.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's the one after they kinda
That's their
that was their
space rock.
transition to sound album, right?
Yeah, and that's the sound. That's the album that really got me into Cave In. I wasn't super aware of them in the whole like Before Your Heart stuff. I mean, I love that album now, but
Mm.
I wasn't as aware of them back then. And then Jupiter kind of hit me, so that influences a lot of my guitar playing and as Deftones as well, like with my rhythm stuff. But I think my leads are very heavily influenced by Cave In, probably more than any other band. Radiohead or Cave In, probably. Ooh, that's
Interesting.
another one. Radiohead's OK Computer. Can I have 4?
Yes, you can. I'll
All right.
because I couldn't narrow it down to 3 either. Like my
Oh
wife's like,
no,
well,
this would
my
be
wife's like,
too
what would you
tough.
choose? I was like, ah, god damn, no one's asked me what I would choose. It came down to 4. Actually, Brendan, what's your 4? I've never actually asked you.
Oh man, I like variety, so I do the Crow soundtrack, and that's a classic. And then I don't know, I would want. It changes all the time, like what I would really want, what I want.
I know that's the tough part.
Hmm.
It's like what mood you're in.
Oh, I really love that Kamache album, Et Memoriam. I always say that band wrong, but that Tamache Yo Mama, No Mama.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It was in my list of
Album of the years.
albums from last year,
Yeah,
and it
good
was fucking beautiful.
I'm not familiar with that. I don't think. What is it called?
Let me. The band is Et Memoriam, Memor, Moriemur, and the album's called Tamashi no Yama.
They're on Trip right? I mean, not Trip they're on Transcending Obscurity, right?
Yes.
Oh, I think I did listen. Okay, I'm gonna put this back on my albums to revisit.
It's very
I think
good.
it's awesome.
It's very good.
It's atmospheric. It's great, man. And then
I have it on my favorites from last year. I have a like favorites playlist that I guess I just forgot about this one. It's on that one though. I'll revisit.
How many does that put you up, Brendan? Did you choose 3 or
I'm
4?
at 2, and
Oh, 2,
I don't
2.
know. I'm like going through like some like notes and things like this, and I was like, I might at this moment in time, I'm gonna bring the diving bell with me from Chrome Ghost.
Nice.
That's a good one.
And that would be my 3 for now.
Okay. I my 3/4 would be Triptychon, Eperistera Daemones, Death Symbolic, Builders and the Butchers, their self-titled album, and The Witches Digsaw.
Side note, since you like Chrome Ghost, I think the song that I do with Matt from Cryptopsy on the new album is very it's probably the doomiest song.
Nice.
Like kind of Chrome Ghost, like Monolord, sort of just sludgy doom, and then his
like
vocals
that.
are all clean. So it's definitely in that vein. Yeah, plugging myself again.
No, go ahead.
Hell yeah.
That's why you're on the show. So to wrap up, I'll have you do that exact thing. Where can people follow you and listen to your music?
All of my projects are on all of the streaming platforms, as well as Bandcamp. So breaths.bandcamp.com, roseneath.bandcamp.com, channeler.bandcamp.com, channelers with no vowels, so CHNNLR. The only band that's not up is Violescent because we don't have anything to put up, but I think everything's on Instagram as well. So streaming, Bandcamp, Instagram.
Awesome.
All that good stuff.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time. It's been great chatting with you. Obviously, you have so many things going on that we'll love to have you back on again sometime, talk about the new albums that you put out for each of the projects. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and
awesome.
Anyone who hasn't checked it out yet, definitely give the single, a Breath single on our Violence Against Violence charity sampler a listen. It's a great grindcore track. And keep an eye out for the single to be contributing to our Mind Over Metal sampler coming out in May. And thanks everyone for listening, and tune in next week. We'll have another guest.